All right, I'm back. So now we're gonna work on connecting the motor side of the ESC to the actual motor on the car. So what I like to do, I highly recommend to everyone to do the same. We're going to make sure that this whole tab back and front is fully soldered. The reason is for that is because if you solder the top of this joint here, you run the risk of potentially ripping this tab off the motor. And if you do so, the motor is just pretty much done. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of flux. I apply flux to everything, makes everything easier to solder. Apply some in the back. Like I said, if you put too much, it's fine. But with this, you don't want to have the solder bridge over. It's not the end of the day. If it happens, you could clean it up, but it'd be preferred if you just could avoid it altogether. So there. There and there. Now, this part's a little tricky, as not many people would have something to hold this while doing this. You could get pliers and hold it here like this and solder it in like that. But for me, I like to do it on the actual car. Much easier. So I'm gonna apply here. I'm only gonna use one screw for now. That'll hold it in place. Wait for my solder iron to turn on. All right. Can tip off, apply. I'll show you guys here. So, some of that there. And then this part, kind of just want to like, would tip around like that. This could probably use a little bit more solder, this middle one. That's good. Then apply some in the middle. The middle ones just need a little bit. All right. Move the motor to show you guys a better view. All right, as you see, my camera will focus. The whole tab in the back soldered, front of the tab soldered, then we have some in the middle there. Now I'm gonna install the motor back in my car so we can wire in the wires to it. Sorry if you had kids screaming. Neighbors next door having a party. turn the shaft around so I get the flat side up. We're going to install the pinion. And there's a reason behind why I install the pinion when I do this. That's not gonna work. I don't know why I did that. Let me take the motor out. I couldn't just take the diff out, gear diff, but let me put it back on. This is much easier. All right, so this process, I like to bring the motor as close as to the diff, like gears touching everything. So just like that. This is not how I'm running my car. This is just for soldering purposes. So the reason I do that is so when the ESC is sitting in the car, and I'm pretty sure a majority of people are running the BBK. So with that being said, the reason I do that is because when I run my wires from the ESC to the motor, I want to give it enough play to where I know if something was to happen, like if the motor was to move around or something, it's not going to snug on the board and rip it off. So that's why I set the motor with the pinion on it as literally as close as you can with the diff or the spur and the pinion, literally just no space. And like I said, that's not how I run it. That's just how I like to solder my ESC with the wires to the motor. Gives it enough play. So like once I set the pinion, this has some has movement. All right. So now with the BBK conversion kit, we are going to need to run the wires straight up. The reason for that, it gives it clearance. And the best way I like to do that, I'll loosen, well, that is definitely the wrong size. Hold on, let me get the right one. Probably should bring all my tools out, would help. Loosen it up. It's actually a little bit too, battery's off a little bit. All right. So the reason I sold the battery also gives me the right amount of how far I set my ESC in the car. Push this up a little bit, get out the way. Now you don't want this ESC rubbing on the battery. So you want to set it as close as possible. So I can see there. Now taking one of the wires, what I usually do, I'll set one end on the ESC and see how far I need to go. As I said before, it's going to stretch pretty far out, but that's fine because once you actually set the motor for the mesh, it'll be good. And also this gives me an idea of what angle, as you see here. This is why I said you had to go straight up. Probably bad view. But yeah, you need to go straight up like that to make clearance over the battery and the post. So it kind of has to bend a little bit. So I'll put down the side. Same thing, get some flux, put on the tabs here. As always, you do not want to sit with the solder iron on these joints and applying heat, because you run the risk of damaging the board and having the tabs coming up. Like I said, once that happens, the ESC is done for. And also, I'll have all the items in the description of where you could buy these products at. So I'm going to turn on my iron. If you guys have one of these pins, you would know the iron goes automatic into sleep mode. So you gotta let it heat up. Clean tip, apply some solder. And we're just going to give a nice little tap. That's good. That's good. And that's good. I do this one over time to make sure. Bam. Bam. Like that. All right. Same thing with the battery connector. I don't like to leave this long. You know, just to me, it's just not a clean connection. I like to make it stubby. So for this, I'll probably definitely cut halfway here. Like that. And I'll do that for the rest of them. And I'll also leave this tool in the description of where to buy this. You can also buy it at your local hardware store, but I find it was cheaper on Amazon. So now with the end short, and I'll show you, it'll be a better connecting point like that than it would be like this. Well, I mean, it was probably like that. And even here, I could go even shorter. But for now, this is fine. Stick on there. All right. Take out the helping hand. Try and get that there. That there. Wait, gotta apply some flux. Now also, some people already have solder that has flux resin in it. That works too, but I like the paste better, it's quicker. Apply some there. Like I say, once you see it bubble up, there's solder on it, good to go. Just like that, quick and easy. Same thing for here. A little bit of flux paste. Like I said, make sure you always clean the tip, apply fresh solder. Just like that, that is done. Now this part can be tricky, especially for the new beginners that this video is aimed for. There's not many ways to go about getting the wire here straight up. The best way I found was to use helping hand. I'll show that here. If you have the alligator clips that open up much wider, that would be preferred. This way, I don't have longer ones, but it will make it work. So what I like to do, I like to grab a piece of tissue paper, something soft so we don't damage the case with the alligator clips. Just wrap it around. And you have it just like that. Like I said, get something to wrap around. You don't want to damage a nice case. All right. So this is gonna be a hard angle to show you guys, but I could show you guys the finished product. So hold on, clean that off. Up there. And like I said, we're gonna go straight up. So just bump my head. Just make sure to touch the tab to get the heat in and the wire. Wow. Get more solder. Touch the tab here. Clean the tip off. I'm gonna add some more, add fresh solder to it. Doesn't make this easy. Like I said, touch the tab. All right. I'm look down and see. I'll show you guys. So those are pretty clean connect solder joints right there. I don't like how these wires are going back, so I need to apply heat and have them come forward a little bit more. So I'm gonna tighten this clip up so I can see. There we go. Apply some pressure on. Then this one needs to come up more. This one needs to come up more too. And this one come up more too. And this one needs to come up a little bit more. As you see, I did not set the solder tip on this board long at all. All right, that's looking much better. Now we could, to test, to see how, make sure the wires have clearance, I'll just put the top of the case right here. And just looking at it, we are looking pretty good. I don't want to put this on completely, but I think we should be good. Actually, no, I'm gonna move this one up a little bit more actually, just so we have good clearance. If you guys never soldered before, it's very time consuming, but I'd rather do it once than do it twice. Trust me, been there, done it. It's not fun. Just take your time and it'll be good. All right, that is good to go. Now at this point, now that we have this here, we could also do the wires. Same thing, I am going to cut this wire down. This is way too long. You do not want to solder this onto the board this long. This will definitely pull apart or break, and it could potentially run the risk of even ripping up the tab on the board. So I'm gonna cut it down. You know, if you come to to a point where you do not feel comfortable doing all this cutting and soldering, you know, definitely find someone at your local shop that knows how to do this. It'll make it much easier, stress-free for you. So now, remember, positive, go to the positive side, negative, go to the negative side. It is easily marked here underneath the port. You got your positives on the right side, negatives on the left side. Now, before we do all that, the few ESCs that I've noticed that it is easier to trim this up right here. The reason I said that is because you run the risk of having the wire hit this top piece right here. And you could barely, you could make it work, but you wouldn't be able to run this straight up. It will kind of have to go slanted like this, which you don't want. You want this to go straight up like that. Like I said, you could make it work, but I found it easier for me to trim this piece up right here and to avoid having the potential of a wire or the solder joint touching either this little clip. I'll show you guys. Right here is a little tab piece. You don't want the solder touching this piece. So I'm gonna trim it up a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. I have myself a cordless Dremel. Remove the stuff away. And I'm just gonna notch it up a little bit. I'm actually gonna cut this piece off too. Actually, no, I'm not. And I'm making circular motions. I'm not trying to hack this. And when doing this, be mindful of the tabs. You don't want to completely cut these off. This is what holds down. This is what holds down to the ESC. Usually the right side is pretty good. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit though. And I'll clean this up. All right. That should be good. There we have that right there. Not pretty, but it's functional. I think I might need to trim this side up a little bit more, but we'll see. You see the joints are more visible than before. There's solder joints on the board. I'm just looking to see if I want to trim that up. That should be good. All right. So again, I'm gonna apply some flux there and right there. Like I said, if you put too much, that's fine. That. While the gun is heating up, I'm just gonna put this back on the helping hands. right, apply some solder. And we're just gonna touch up the post, just apply some heat. Be careful of this wire. You don't wanna burn that. Just like that. Just like that. Like I said, everything is just, it should be quick. You do not wanna be applying too much heat. And I don't think I did yet, but I'm also gonna apply some flux to this. Tip off. Quick like that. Now, if you don't have steady hands, you could also use the helping hands to make this process easier for you. So it would be like something like this. You can hold the alligator clips. You could manipulate it to go straight up to be easier for you. Just like that. All right, I'm trying to find a good position. Just like that. I think I might have came out a little slanted. Oh, perfect. All right. Now I'm just gonna switch sides. This side is, for some reason, it's not cooperating with me. So I might have to give the helping hands some hands. Probably a little bit more solder. All right, quick and easy. As you see, it's pretty straight up. Now, when I get my cover here, I apply this over here. This is the tricky part, getting this here. I'm just testing and seeing how everything looks. So here, I need to bring this wire to the, I need to bring, for clearance, I need to bring this wire to the left a little bit more to clear that, which is fine. It should be pretty quick and easy to do. All right. Might have been a little bit too much to the left, but that should be fine. Hopefully. We're about to find out. See? That is actually perfect fit. I'm happy with that. Show you guys right there. Perfect. So now I'm gonna close the case up. We are done with soldering on the board for now. So you have the tabs here. They just push them down. You hear them click in. You can even give it a little help and just push the case out a little bit. That's one tab. That's another tab. Last is this back one. There we go. All tabs are closed up. And the nice thing about these wires, they are flexible. So that's good to know. All right, now we're gonna install this in the car, solder to the motor, and we'll be done. So what you need to do, you need to get double-sided tape. I like the one with the foam. Helps out a lot. Put this down here. Like I said, you don't want to have this riding next to the battery. Everyone puts their ESC in different locations. This is how I run my car. You know, personal preference. I'm not gonna get into that right now. And the best way about running these wires straight up, it gets out of the way of the wheels. And if you run it anywhere else, like if you run it, let me see. You know, if you want to run it this way on the board, you know, on the car, it's everything straight up. You know, even with the F1s, you know, you can have this straight up slanted a certain way. It's another video to make. Anyways, so we're gonna apply this here. So not too close to the battery. Push it down, just like that. Have space between the battery. Now to the motor. If you don't know, there's also markings down here. You have C, B, A. So this wire C, middle is always going to be B, and left is going to be A. You're going to connect them to how they are. So C will go to C here, B will go to B on the ESC, and A will go to A. Now I like to do the A one first. Same thing as a board. I do not like to run these wires long. I like to cut them down a little bit. And I'll just put it here and see how far I need to cut it. And as you can see, I'm gonna make it a little stubby. So just like that. All right, so from earlier, now that I don't have this out of the car, what I'll do, apply a little bit of flux to these joints here. Clean the tip, apply some solder. Same thing, you hear bubble up, it's good to go. That's good to go. And that's good to go. What I usually do, I like to, you know, you have a little bit of solder left over, just touch the tabs up just to apply some heat. Good to go. Apply it there. Now connect A to A. What I usually do also, I usually like to heat up the back and then the wires just fall right into the gap. So have solder. I guess I don't have solder. There we go. What is going on? I have some difficulties right now. Don't know what just happened. I see what happened. Alrighty. Did not loosen my screw all the way down. As you see, the tip came out, and that's why it was not getting hot. Alright. There we go. Let that warm up. All right, should be good to go. Just like that. Remember, middle one goes to B. The last goes to C. So now this is not going to reach, so I need to loosen this motor up. Now usually you would have the pinion you'd be using. I just grabbed a random one. You know, I'm sure most guys would probably be using, for SRA, I believe it's 12. And then PN is usually 14, I believe. I might be wrong, don't quote me for PN. So this will probably be set ready for you guys. And the nice thing about this wire, it's very flexible. It will reach. And there you go. You have movement, bunch of play. Power will not get bind up. Like I said, this is not my opinion. This is just a random one I grabbed off. But if I need to extend this out more, I'll show you guys here. You know, if God, say you're running a 9-tooth, you might need to add a little more wire, but you should be good. I'll show you guys. Push this as far out as I can. Free play. Somewhat meshed up. Again, a lot of play. Yeah. Then you can apply the wires. And I will show you that it turns on. Blinking. Fun fact, these already come in blinking mode. I found out so far, which is nice. So this one is still not shrunk down all the way, so I'm gonna apply some heat again. There we go. That's fine. And then this wire will go into your receiver port like that. Now that this is done, you know, you're gonna have a lot of long wires. You know, if you're comfortable with cutting it down, you can do so. I usually cut mine down. I am going to make another video that's going to be more aimed toward advanced people that have soldering time and that knows what they're doing. The reason I say that is because, as you can see here, the reason why I'm going to make an advanced soldering video for newer soldering people, I cut down my servo wire for a cleaner look. But for now, this car is good to go. Like I said, if you want, you could definitely cut this wire down and apply it to the ESC and it'd be good to go. But if you're okay with how your wire is set up, you know, plug it in like that, you know, you'll be good, you'll be fine. But if you're not comfortable with soldering, you know, please reach out to someone in your local shop, have them do it for you. You know, if you have a friend that knows what they're doing, you can have them do it for you. You know, like I said, the whole thing about this ESC, you do not want to apply too much heat to this board. You just want to be quick in and out with applying heat, applying wires in and out. And yeah, there you go. That's how you start up a MWX ESC.